You're listening to the Scaling Wellness Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the what, why, and how of scaling your wellness practice, as well as sharing inspiring stories of how others did it themselves. I'm your host, DJ Turner, author, agency owner, houseplant lover, and your go-to guy for scaling your wellness practice. If you're looking for tips on how to grow your team, book more clients, and get out of the day-to-day in your practice, you've come to the right place. Now sit back, relax, and let's get into the episode. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Wellness Podcast. Today, I sit down with Robin Barbee, the director and owner of Franklin Massage Center in Brentwood, Tennessee. With her high-quality team of therapists, she has succeeded in delivering the best in specialized deep tissue sports massage for athletes, especially in the Middle Tennessee area. Now, Robin's passion for working with athletes had her voted Best Massage Therapist by Nashville's Fit Magazine in 2017. And she's worked with so many types of athletes: NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, as well as softball teams, triathletes, Ironman, marathoners, distance runners, and she's taken this idea and expanded this business out to people beyond herself. A lot of Nashville's athletes credit Robin and her team for working on them and helping them compete at the highest level. Now, what's really great is what she's been able to do to build Franklin Massage Center into the team that she has today, which we're going to get into the episode. In it, we're going to talk about how you can go about finding the right staff for your business, especially if you're that person who's making that transition from the superstar one person to expanding beyond, how you can handle and manage different therapists with different personalities. As you grow, it's not just the clients you're having to manage, you're going to have to learn how to manage people. And we talked a little bit about what the logistics of paying someone and get into some of the details of what payroll is like and how she goes about making sure people are paid, which I think is going to be very useful if you haven't hired someone yet. So without any further ado, this is my interview with Robin Barbee of Franklin Massage Center. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Wellness Podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with Robin Barbee of Franklin Massage Center. So first, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm happy when I get to talk to someone else from Tennessee, but always just really honored when I get the chance to have a conversation and talk about, how you've built what you've built so far. So the first thing I always like to do in our episodes is get some context about the business. So can you describe Franklin Massage Center, just how big's the space, how big's your team, what you guys offer, and just what you're all about?
Our current space, which would be my fourth expansion in a little under 13 years, it's 1,900 square foot. I've got 6 massage rooms, an office, kitchen, break room, laundry room, bathroom, 2 rooms that have the bar so the girls do ashiatsu. No, it's a nice space. We did a build out almost 4 years ago on this space.
And so one of the things I also like to do is take a look at the owners and see who they are. So my question is, if we think back to teenage Robin, especially those early high school, maybe late middle school years, who were you at that time? What were you interested in?
I've always been a leader. For some reason, people have followed me from a young age. My wife hates this story, but even in kindergarten, people fought to sit next to me. It was strange. If I quit a job, no matter what age I was, people were going to quit with me. And it's just, I've always moved up quickly into a leadership role, and I like leading.
And so what was it that initially got you into wellness? How did you find yourself in massage?
I think people want a different, cooler answer. I was bartending on Bill Street for 5 years. I was driving to work, heard a commercial about massage school, and was like, I think I can do that. And here we are, 22 years later.
And so, you made the switch going to school. At what point, or really, how did the vision for what Franklin Massage Center would become, how did this vision come about?
I had been in Memphis for 8 years doing massage at 2 different spas, moved to Nashville, always wanted to live in Nashville, didn't want to be that busy going to radiology school, planned on getting out of massage, because I had worked at 2 different spas, and spa life was not for me. A girl owned the business less than a year, and I started working for her. I was her first employee. 3 months into that, she wanted to move to Miami. I bought the business. Looking back, I should not have bought the business, but I bought the business, and the rest is history. Never went to radiology school, and God apparently had a different plan for my life.
So what did this first year, actually even before that, so you mentioned, you bought into the business, you shouldn't have. Why do you say that? What was going on in the business?
I say that because all you really were selling me, you were a single therapist selling me your books, which if you were leaving anyways, I paid $5,000 for it. Did not realize behind my back she had sold over $5,000 worth of gift cards and left town, leaving me to honor that because it was my name. And, when I tell people that story now, they're like, you shouldn't have even bought her books. But I didn't know and thought it was cool and, worked 3 jobs to make this happen. 2 years in, I decided just to take a leap of faith and focus just on the business, and it started to take off.
And so within that first 2 years, before things really took off, what was going on? So obviously you had a lot of gift cards that you had to honor. What was that initial period like?
It was a rough probably first 2 years, but that first year for sure. Some days you came in at 7 a.m. because somebody wanted one that early and you didn't have another one until 6. I worked at Outback, worked at another massage business, and just hustled. Went around to doctor's office, dentist's office, gyms, passed out cards, and did whatever I could to make this work. Because working on athletes, I don't know, it was different doing massage in Memphis. It just was. And being at a spa and then being here. And in that second year, I got in with Fleet Feet, which is a specialty running store who does big running programs and working on athletes, people that cared and wanted to foam roll and do what you asked them to do. It changed what massage was for me.
Now, I know by now you've gone through 4 expansions in really a short amount of time. Can you walk us through just what some of those, I guess, high points, those milestones, especially as expansion, like around how many years in or around what year did you start to grow and what did those milestones look like?
So I started the business in November of 2009. So let's say the end of 2010, I had 1 employee. I brought a friend in from Memphis. We were in just a bay that had 2 rooms and we shared a bathroom. In 2013, I moved into another bay in that building that had 3 rooms, hired 2 more therapists. 2015, added another room in that same building. Attorney next door just let me add a wall and add a room. Probably hired 2 more therapists, an office manager, and another receptionist. And then in 2018, we did this build out on this new space where I got to design the rooms and the office and all that kind of stuff. So we've been there. August will be 4 years that we've been in this new space. And I felt like I had outgrown that in 2 years.
And so as we look at the team today, one thing that I like talking about is just like, who are the people involved? Obviously, when you build a business, that's not just you. You've got different roles. You've got admin, you've got like front desk, you've got other therapists. How is your team structured? Like leadership versus therapist versus front desk, however it is?
All of my therapists are 1099s. So I've never wanted, I think from being in the spa industry and being a massage therapist, I never wanted people to sit there if they didn't have an appointment. And in the early years, especially in the summer, we may have 2 or 3 appointments a day. And now we've got 100 a week, 150 a week. So I didn't want them sitting there. So they're 1099s. I've got 2 receptionists. Actually, my wife works for me and kind of owns the business too, but is a massage therapist and a receptionist. And it took a long time to trust an office manager where I felt like I could go out of town and turn my phone off and know that unless the building was going to burn down, she cared about the business as much as I did. It's hard to find loyal people, especially someone working up front. I have a loyal staff. I mean, I don't have a turnover. it's very rare that it's usually somebody quits and is moving. So I have very loyal people around me that make me better and make me look good.
And so it took a long time to find and trust an office manager. Can you just talk us through, what was going on? Was it a matter of something in yourself? Was it finding the person? Was it both those things? Like, what made it so difficult and take so long?
It was the person, because the first 4 years I didn't have an office manager. We didn't even have a system like Salon Iris or Millennium or whatever. We just wrote down the appointments in a calendar. So we didn't even have a front desk person because I didn't have the extra money to pay someone. The first one I had, she was a high school student and she worked for what I needed her for at that time. We weren't that busy. The second one, the same kind of thing, wasn't helping out doing stuff, didn't really care. And then I found Katie, who she had ran spas before, and she cares about my business as much as I do. People canceling, that kind of stuff, like, it makes her mad. So I know that if I'm not there, she's going to take care of the business. So just going through a few people to find the right person and the right fit.
And in that same regard, as you've built your team, what's been your approach to finding those right people that you have on board?
A lot of it is obviously talent, but it also, you've got to have the right personality too. And I mean, I've made mistakes. I've gotten a massage, whether I had just worked out or whatever, and was like, oh my God, that was the deepest massage ever. And they were awesome. When in reality, maybe they weren't as great. But that's few and far between. And, we specialize in deep tissue, so it's really hard to find deep tissue therapists. It's one of the hardest things to find.
And so as the business has grown, how has your role changed as being the owner? Like, what looks different today than did a few years ago?
I think being able to delegate more. I'm a control freak. Even now, like I said earlier, like, I'm constantly looking at the books, constantly seeing what's booked, constantly looking at the bank account. Being able to delegate and trust that other people are going to care as much as I do, and being able to step back, or to feel like I can go on several vacations a year and leave my phone, because I feel like that's fair to my wife, because as a business owner, it's rare that you're off, and something crazy always happens when you're on vacation. But to be able to leave my phone in the hotel room and know that the office is taken care of. I mean, it took a long time to get there because it's your baby. And a lot of the times you feel like somebody's not going to care about your business as much as you do.
We'll be back with this episode in just a moment. But first, let me ask you a question. Does it ever feel like you're stuck on some sort of business treadmill? Despite all the hard work you put in, it feels like you aren't actually going anywhere. And at first, growing your practice and filling it with clients was everything you ever dreamed of. But now, the day-to-day of your business is starting to almost feel like a never-ending nightmare. You know you love your clients, you maybe even built a team, and you can't imagine giving any of it up, yet at the same time, you feel like you just can't seem to escape. If that sounds like you, I want to offer you an alternative. I like to call it Wellness Practice Freedom. It's a place where your practice gives you more than just money. When you get to this point, you're no longer the main engine in the vehicle, and instead, you finally get to act like the driver. And most importantly, you'll be in a place where you can work as little or as much as you'd like, because you know that your practice is built in a way that it can thrive without you. Sound interesting? Then I want to invite you to take the journey to achieving Wellness Practice Freedom. During this call, we'll dive into exactly what freedom looks like for you, the changes that you need to take, and what's going to allow you to step back from your business without worrying about your income or everything falling apart. Ready to get started? Then head over to my calendar at www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Again, that's www.scalingwellness.com/chat. Now, let's get back to the episode. So I'm curious, when you think about your team, so I've always had this belief of, no one's going to care about your business as much as you do. And I think we had another guest on the show who, they'd worked with a consultant, said the same thing. And what their approach had been was, so no one's going to love your baby as much as you do, but you get to choose the acceptable percentage. Is this 70%, 85, 90, 98.5%? When you think of your team, have you found that the same, like, to be true, or has it been, a good process of finding those people who care as much or care more about their roles in your business?
I would say I'm up to 80, 85% of the therapists there care, maybe not as much as I do, but at least a good 90% of what I do. And take pride in working there and are excited to be there and love their job and want the business to succeed as well.
And you'd mentioned, taking a long time to get to that point where you can turn your phone off and things be okay. What did it take? Like, what had to change, or who'd you have to bring on, or what'd you have to put in place to be able to get there?
It was probably even 2 to 3 years after Katie was there. It was really my wife saying, it's okay. The business is going to be okay without you there. And just listening to her, and she was right as usual. And the business was okay. If it burns down, call Mallory's phone and she'll answer. And Katie knows that. Like, if something crazy happens, she can reach me at least through Mallory's phone. But I need to leave mine alone because a client may text me, or one of the therapists at work, or just whoever. And I can check that when I get home or first thing in the morning.
And a shout out to wives. I feel like wives are very great at keeping us, focused. So I'm curious, how do you spend your days now? Like, are you working with clients? Are you all hands off? Like, what does your day to day look like at this point in your business?
Well, even today, 2 therapists called in. So Sunday is normally my only day off, but I went in for 4 hours because it's my business. I'm normally in the office on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I happen to got in with a good bit of the country music people and just a lot of actors and actresses moving here. And so I do out calls the rest of the week. So on my average week, I work 6 days a week. But I love what I do. I love what I do.
And circling back, you had mentioned, okay, so it took you a while to be able to step back, and your wife had to say, hey, it's going to be okay. You mentioned bringing on Katie. One of the things that I like to talk about for the listeners is just to see, what do people have to put in place, or what they've put in place to get there? So when you think about whatever systems, procedures, tools, people, whatever that helps you run the business at this level, what are some of those things or people that are essential for you?
I think just having the right staff. My longest therapist has been there 9 years, and 6, 7, 8 years, even some of the other ones. That I think people being there that long, they're going to care about the business. Having Katie, just being able to step away and know that it's going to be okay, instead of just constantly worrying, constantly looking at everything. If I'm on vacation, like when I need a break, I need to be disconnected.
And have there been any surprises or anything that's really stood out to you as, let's say, challenging, or just something you didn't expect as you started to grow the business and start operating with a larger and larger team?
I don't know if you're into the Enneagram. I'm into the Enneagram, and juggling that many people, you can't talk or approach everyone in the same way. I'm a blunt, straightforward, no nonsense, no drama type of person, but I can't just be like, and bark at someone about something. You just, working with that many people, it's a lot of different personalities in that building.
And how's the vision changed? I mean, you've gone and you've expanded and growing space, really rapidly. Just how's the vision changed over the years for you, what you thought the practice would look like?
Well, 2020 changed my vision, because we had always been known as just a deep tissue sports massage. You're coming here to get beat up and tortured. And so many people moving here wanted energy work or craniosacral and Swedish massage. And so having to have some of those modalities added because there was a demand for it, I would have never guessed I would have an energy worker working for me, but she stays booked.
And there's no business or business owner that I've known that has not gone through at least some sort of difficult times in regards of a mistake they've made or just some sort of lesson that was not very fun to learn. When you think back about, your business journey, are there any mistakes or hard lessons that you'd say you've learned a lot from?
Yeah, there's two. I messed up with the massage board. The therapist before me told me I didn't get an establishment license because Williamson County was different. Should have checked more into it, even though you're taking your classes. And so that was a big mistake. That was an extremely expensive mistake. And I had a bad CPA for the first 5 years. So my mistakes they're never cheap, but I'll make a different mistake next time because I won't make the same one again.
And, on the flip side, I think it's really impressive what you've built today. When you think about all the things that come into it, what would you say is your recipe or at least some essential ingredients in the success of you and your business?
I don't know. It's so surreal every day that I'm even here and that God has even given me this chance to do this. And I love helping people. I like making a difference in people's lives. All my therapists do that. And I think being a loyal friend type boss owner, but fair. I like for things to be fair. And I think that's what's made my business successful. And I pay very well. That kind of helps.
Yeah, yeah, especially today, I absolutely think so. So on that note, because it's something that I think is not really discussed a lot, like how have you decided what pay will look like within your practice?
Because I worked at spas for 2 years and they take such a big cut. And moving to Nashville, the few places that I did want to work, my friend and I went in and act like we were going to have a bachelorette party. So they give you a detailed tour of the place. And then they come back and say they pay like 25%. I'm like, what? And they're like, what do you mean you were making 55% in Memphis? I'm like, I've been doing it for 8 years. And back then, obviously prices were different, but it was just mind blowing to me. And then after owning a business, I wasn't going to be that type of, they're doing the work. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking all the responsibility and paying the bills, but I mean, they're doing the work. And, my therapists make between $70 and $80 an hour. It's just not fair for me to take what they're working for. I don't like that. I like to be fair.
And as you look to the future, what's next? Like, what are you working on? What's that next phase? What do you hope to accomplish?
I would love to own a building that had 3 or 4 bays in it where I could have the physical therapist that we work with, the chiropractor, and have like a recovery lounge that had the hyperbaric chamber and the compression sleeves and all the hyper ice stuff, just so that it was a one-stop shop.
So this has been a really good conversation. I've got a few more quick questions. They don't necessarily need to have quick answers. One of the first ones, it seems like a silly question, but when you think back of all the things you enjoy doing in your day, whether it be work or personal, or whatever, what's something that you think you maybe spend a little bit too much time doing?
Checking the books constantly and looking at bank accounts constantly.
As you look back in your business journey or even your own personal growth, what's one resource, a book, a course, a person, a podcast, doesn't matter who or what it is, just what's something or someone that stands out as being really helpful to you?
Dave Ramsey's book, Entree Leadership, and Daring to Lead by Brene Brown. I'm always wanting to be a better leader.
And as you look out into maybe it's massage, maybe it's spa, maybe it's wellness or business in general, is there any advice that you see that you just wholly disagree with?
So many people tell me that 1, I should charge the celebrities that I work with more, and 2, at the office, I should charge more for my massages. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to set that precedent at my office that I think I'm better than any other therapist there, because I'm not. There's way better therapists there, and I'm not going to do that to outcall people because they get taken advantage of anyways. I'm not better than any of the other therapists that work for me.
And if you had to give a piece of advice to someone who's especially wants this jump from being a solo practitioner to someone who manages and operates with a team, what advice would you give them?
That you got to be strong, you got to be thick-skinned, your partner, significant other needs to be on board, because it is definitely not easy being married or dating a business owner, and just go for it. you'll have those bad days, but in the end, it's worth it.
So if someone wants to learn more about you, your business, or get connected with you, where's the best place for them to go?
We've got Franklin Massage Center on Facebook, Franklin_massage on Instagram, and then just franklinmassagecenter.com.
Cool. So that's all for this episode. I'll have those linked down below or somewhere where you're consuming this content. Thanks so much for everyone watching, listening, however it is you're watching this episode. That's all, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. The Scaling Wellness Podcast is hosted and produced by yours truly, DJ Turner. Administration, guest research, editing, and associate production by Helen C. For highlights and updates, follow us on Instagram at Scaling Wellness. And for more information on how to scale your practice up and get out of the day-to-day, head to www.scalingwellness.com.